Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. Happy Hump Day. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. Lawrence is here as well. Monday, we did the top 10 goaltenders. Tuesday, we did the top 10 defensemen. Today, we're doing the top 10 forwards in Blackhawks history. And you can see I pulled my Tony Amante Blackhawks jersey out of the mothballs and onto the set, the old Nike-style jersey. I really like that one. Still got some nacho cheese stains on it and barbecue sauce on it from all those games at the UC. But
so 300 level?
Amante? They might be. Yeah, they might be from Tony Amante himself.
Oh, man, the 300 level
90s Patrick Sharp.
We'll get into it. We're going to get into the whole thing. We appreciate you being here. Make sure you smash that like button for us. I saw that the Bears podcast got like 700 likes. I know they have a lot more viewers than we do, but damn it, let's get to at least 75 likes today. Holy moly.
Sure.
Smash that like button for us.
If we had 53 players to talk about, we'd get that many
That's
likes
true.
too.
The top 53 players on the current Bears roster.
If you're looking for the Bears show, it is not us.
Yes.
It is at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, someone was very confused yesterday. So, yeah, smash that like button on YouTube. Make sure you're following our YouTube page on YouTube as well. Podcast listeners, follow, subscribe, whatever your app calls for. And if you got 30 seconds and a kind feeling in your heart, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also want to let you know a couple things going on here at CHGO. Today is your last chance to save huge on a DieHard membership. $60 gets you an annual DieHard membership at ALLCITY.com. You get a free T-shirt as soon as you sign up, so there's 30 right there. You come to one of our tailgates, one of our United Center takeovers, with all the free drinks and food you get. That pays for itself. Mm-hmm. Boom. Very easy. Boom. Very reasonable deal for membership. The regular price is reasonable, too. $60 is an absolute no-brainer.
The sale is an absolute steal. I believe our GM, Jake Flanagan, said it's about 17 cents per day. So, you could put that towards sick puppies, or you could put it towards being a diehard.
Sounded like Sally Struthers there for a second.
Yeah.
Just 17 cents a day. I said 17 seconds. It's anytime 17.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Seconds is always followed by it, no matter what we're talking about.
Also, if you're already a diehard, or you just don't have it in the budget right now to do the diehard membership, shirts in the shop all week are $24. Big markdown on all T-shirts and hats in the CHGO locker. Go to CHGO locker right now to save. And yes, of course, if you're a diehard, you will save on the sale price. Mm-hmm. You just add that 20% to whatever's happening at any time, and you will save on events, on shirts, even when they're on sale, everything. So lots of ways to save this week at allchgo.com and chgolocker.com. All right, before we get into our Hawks list, the reason we're doing our rankings this week is because it is rank week here at CHGO, where we're ranking the top 25 all-time Chicago athletes. And today we're going to reveal numbers 15 through 11. 2 Blackhawks on this list. Coming in at number 15 is Duncan Keith.
Yeah, would have been timely if he was on the list yesterday.
Yes.
Would have been a nice segue.
But works out anyways.
Number 14, Brian Urlacher. Number 13, Ryan Sandberg.
Solid.
Number 12, Bobby Hull. And number 11, Sammy Sosa.
Interesting
list.
Yeah.
Samuel Sosa.
It's an interesting list for sure.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Now you're getting into the undeniable top 15.
You
cannot legendary players cannot mention Chicago sports without mentioning these athletes. And we talked about Duncan Keith yesterday and waxed poetic about him. I think very fair that he's inside the top 15, because when you think about the impact of Duncan Keith to the grand scheme of Chicago sports, he kind of gets lost in the shuffle sometimes because how unassuming he was. But you talk to a lot of Blackhawks fans and a lot of even casual fans too. They'll say, "Well, Duncan Keith, that's my favorite guy, of that time." And I think it's fitting that he's here at 15.
Yeah, I probably would have had him a little bit higher, but it's good to see that as our entire staff voted, and not just the Hawks people or the Bears people or whatever, that he is represented in the top 15. If I had to guess where it was going to go ahead of time, I didn't think he would crack the top 15. Glad he did. I personally have him a little bit higher, but we watched every game he ever played.
Right, yeah.
So we have a little closer of an understanding there. And I'm sure there's guys on other teams that I probably undersold, so it all kind of evens out. All right.
You guys are big Cubs fans. What are your thoughts on Sammy Sosa being at 11?
Look, if not for the steroids, and we'll have the full reveal show on Friday, which I was part of, if not for the steroids, he's 1, 2, or 3. Honestly, he's up there of the alt. I mean, the things he did were unprecedented.
Yeah.
But he played in a steroid era. He's being punished accordingly. I think Bobby Hull would be higher on this list if he was not such a detestable human being.
Probably say that about Urlacher over the past few years, saying some rather dumb things.
Yeah.
But Sosa right outside the top 10. I had him higher on my list. You got the steroids, the cork bat, but he played in an era where everybody was doing it, and it was pretty much encouraged.
Not Frank Thomas.
Right.
Yeah, but he was taking Nugenics or whatever. That's just as good. That's over the counter steroids.
Yeah,
According to him, he gets some great boosts from that. And
Strong like bull.
Yeah.
So does his Mrs. Thomas.
Yeah, the ladies like it.
So
That's what he says.
what Sammy Sosa did for just not only the Cubs but the game of baseball in that summer of '98, it's hard to top that. That McGuire Sosa thing was unbelievable. And I don't care if they were both juiced to the gills. That was fun as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, they were on the cover of Time magazine and Newsweek.
Right.
Like it wasn't just a sports story. It was a news story. It was so cool.
That was the year after I became a baseball following kid at that time, and that was just it's an unforgettable year for baseball, and Ken Griffey Jr. was part of that race as well too. I just remember that as a kid being just not knowing what was going on at the time. None of us did, but just watching those home runs just sail 500 feet like it was nothing was just I was
at the game he hit one 508, and we were actually sitting kind of behind home plate. And I swear I saw smoke come off of his bat. And the ball was gone. You knew the second he hit it was gone. And the way it's still there. Kenmore Street is when it's right over left, right beyond left. It's where all the ball hawks stand.
Yeah.
There used to be a tree there.
It's the house Glen Allen Hill is.
Yes,
that tree.
yes. So
Hell
there's
yeah.
a tree right next to it, which is about rooftop high. And Sosa hit it over that tree. Yeah. It was unbelievable.
Right.
And and for me, the All-Star game in Milwaukee, where he was just hitting light panels.
I was there for that
just
home run
unreal.
derby. That was insane.
Yeah. I mean, from the 1st of July to the end of the year, Sammy Sosa at bats were appointment television.
Yeah.
You didn't
would stop what you were doing.
You didn't necessarily watch the game. You were just okay, Sammy's up. Everybody shut up. And then once he was off, you probably flipped the
They
channel.
would cut
came
to it
back.
on the news.
Yeah.
They would cut to it during other sporting
It
events.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Just, it's such a cool. We're
Unprecedented.
never going to see anything like that again.
Right.
Because the home run records have kind of because of all those Bonds then later does it, but when Bonds was chasing it, it was not that big a deal because everybody had gotten tired of the juiced up baseball players at that point. But
Yeah.
and that 61 had been a record for almost 40 years.
Yeah.
So that had more prestige than breaking a record that was set 5 years ago.
Right.
So, yeah, very, very good stuff.
Yeah, I think Sammy's punishment is that he's only 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the Hawks list here. So top 10 forwards. Coming in at number 10 is number 10 himself,
Which one?
Tony Amante.
Patrick Sharp.
Oh,
Ooh.
There he is. Patrick Sharp, obviously a huge part of the Stanley Cup runs. I think full disclosure, neither Greg nor I had Sharpie on the list.
No.
Where did you have him on yours?
I had him at 9th,
Okay.
ahead of Tony Amante.
So that shows, that tells, I mean, our lists for this one, even though we did not have an unanimous number one, were
Yeah.
so similar.
Yeah,
It was basically we all had different 10th place guys. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the difference, even though you left somebody off.
Yes, I did.
On
Total
first edition,
oversight,
yeah.
but yes, I did.
Yeah, I had Sharp at number 9. Look, I mean, he was one of the first stars of the team before Taves and Kane became superstars. I mean, he was arguably the best player on that 07-08 team in their rookie years, and then was surpassed by them
36 goals that year.
in stardom. But look, I mean, he was always a guy that fans loved. He was always a guy that scored at great paces. 30 goals, over 30 goals, multiple times in his career. I want to say, I know he did it. I gotta remember the year. I think it was the 2014-15 season. Didn't he lead the team in points?
No, you're thinking of the 2013-14.
13-14, okay.
It's 34 goals, 78 points.
Yeah, led the team in points during the 2013-14 season. So that's in that stretch where they were just a monster of a team. 3 Stanley Cups. I mean, never got any individual awards, couple-time All-Star, and then just the cultural impact of Sharp in Chicago. A very marketable person, very handsome man, and a good analyst. We've seen he was part of the broadcast team. He was part of the NBC's broadcast team. Like, this is a guy that will always. I know he played a little bit in Philly, played a little bit in Dallas. He's always going to be a career Blackhawk.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed that he, took the front office gig with the Flyers, but because I thought he's really good when he's doing color analysts. Apparently, it's not what he wants to do. I mean, we kind of not a surprise considering the part-time. I know it was last minute, but the part-time work he did for the Hawks, and obviously he wants to be close to his family and have a job where he's
Philly
stationary.
Philly's closer, and I felt like he always wanted to have some sort of front office position. It seemed like the broadcasting was just like, oh, I'll give it a try kind of thing.
And he was good at it, but he's going to do what he's got to do. And Patrick Sharp there were few things more fun to watch during those Stanley Cup eras than when Patrick Sharp was feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
He was the pure definition of a streaky goal scorer.
Absolutely.
He'd go 7-8 games without sniffing the back of the net, and then he'll score 8 goals in 5 games. When he was on one of those hot streaks, he reminded me a lot, to make another baseball comparison, of Alfonso Soriano when he would get hot with the home runs. Soriano would go 2 weeks without hitting one, and then he'd hit 7 in 4 days.
Yeah.
Sharp was kind of that same way, where he would and when he was on, man, he was fun to watch because every time the puck was on his stick, it had a chance to go in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, look, everything you're saying, Mario, is correct. He was a huge part of those Cup teams, and I think as we talk about that team historically, there's so many names that are above him, and I think that maybe we forget how good he was and how valuable he was, and really the numbers he put up. Top of my head, I'm like, pretty good, consistent, 25, 30 goals. But as you look in there, 36, 33, 34, 34. He had some big seasons putting a puck in the net, and he just kind of became I don't want to say a victim. He's not, but just because there were so many great players on those teams that he kind of fell through the cracks a little bit. I think, he's certainly in the conversation. There's no doubt about it. So I have no issue with him at all. But that brings us to number 9, which I think that was kind of the toss-up we had discussed off the air. Number 9 is Tony Amante.
It's weird that they're right next to each other in the list.
I mean, kind of similar players. I'll say this, you can say Tony Amante put up better numbers, and he was on worse teams. Those are both true.
Yes.
However, Tony Amante was the guy and had all the opportunities. Power play 1, line 1.
Yeah.
Played with the number 1 center all the time. That was Alexei Zhamnov. Would have been 2 or 3 on the Blackhawks in the Cup era, sure. So, the argument's there. I think the difference for me with Amante was a kind of guy that could break a game. Mm-hmm. He had incredible speed, great hands. He was the kind of guy who kind of on his own could just will himself to score. Where I feel like Patrick Sharp was really good shot, obviously, but was more of a beneficiary of the guys he played with.
Yeah.
Amante was a guy who was able to do it by himself if he wanted to do it by himself.
And he had
with
to
the
for
speed.
a portion of his career.
Yeah, and he did the DX suck it motion when he scored goals sometimes.
Yeah,
that's true.
Amante, 4 seasons of at least 41 goals. He did that 3 times in 4 seasons. And here's one thing that he had on Patrick Sharp. He's setting something up over there.
Yeah, something's going on.
That he gets a nod over Sharp is his durability. He only missed 2 games his entire career with the Hawks.
Yeah.
That's
Where
impressive.
Sharpie had some injury,
couple
seasons where he missed 20, 30 games. So, he had the higher numbers. There we go. There's our guy.
Look at that.
I was wondering what in case you were wondering, our buddy across the street, shirtless dark guy, shirtless wonder, naked guy. Depending on what show you're watching, just put his
This is
Blackhawks Bud.
a neon
they
neon
own
beer
Goose
sign.
Island. It's cool. His neon bar sign on it. Mario and I have been eyeballing him for the last couple
he was
minutes.
setting something up. I was
He
like,
put
"What's
a stool
going on?"
Out, then I saw him bring an extension cord out. I'm like, "What do we got going on here?" But he's
that's
got
fantastic.
His, there he is. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
There he is. This is going to be a daily thing now.
Yeah,
I love it.
He's
It's kind of
become
like the show within
character
the
of-
show.
We're going to
right?
have to put shirtless dark guy on the payroll at
I
some
mean,
point.
well, I'll be honest. I feel like it's just really cool because he is what we want our diehards to
yes.
be.
This
This
is
is
exactly
exactly
what it is.
CHGO, and
Absolutely.
so-
This is what we're when
We want everyone to feel like they're part of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so he let us know yesterday during our Bulls show that he became a diehard. So eventually he's going to get a CHGO shirt. So it might ruin the gimmick, but we need to have him. We need
know
to
if
have
he'll
him
wear
come
it,
across
but-
the street with no shirt on, so we can present him
Yeah.
his shirt.
We need to have Mitchell send him an empty package.
A picture of a shirt.
Yeah,
Here's your shirt. Oh,
we didn't
yeah.
think you actually wanted the shirt. Yeah, well,
great.
it's awesome he's part of it. But another point by Nate, Tony Amante in that '96 World Cup of Hockey
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
And that was kind of because the Hawks were so irrelevant at that time. That was kind of an arrival for him to do it on a big stage with big players and not only hold his own, but show that he was one of the honestly, he was one of the best forwards in the game for a while. He was up there putting up big numbers in an era like 40 goals in the early 2000s was nothing to sneeze at. Like nobody was scoring 50 back then.
Right.
Like he was one of the elite scorers in the league for a 3-4 year span, doing it with very little help.
It was a shame we couldn't get Tony Amante and Jeremy Roenick together for longer than we did because they
Yeah.
were good buddies. They
For
were
a while.
great players.
3 seasons?
They
2 seasons?
two
and a-
seasons,
yeah.
2.5 seasons. I mean, I know were they together in Arizona?
No.
Was Roenick gone already by then? I think Roenick was already
02-03
gone.
was,
Yeah, Roenick was
his
gone
year
by then.
there.
So
yeah, Roenick was in.
yeah, it would have been fun to see those
Gone
two
by
guys
then.
play longer together, and they should have.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was gone by then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna put up a stink that Amani is 9. I had him at 10. I had him on the list. One of my first favorite players. You talk about those teams that were almost irrelevant in the early 2000s. At least they had someone like Amani to have some people be. You can say, oh, I don't really remember too many of those Blackhawks, but I remember Tony Amani. Like that's definitely saying something when it comes to being a player in that era, being memorable. So yeah, I mean he was a tremendous player in the time he was here. So yeah, no problems with him being at 9.
So the year he scored 44, that was the 98-99 season. That's his career high in goals. He led the team with 75 points. Alexei Zhamnov was second in scoring. Doug Gilmour, the ghost of Doug Gilmour, was on that Hawks team. Eric Daze, Chris Chelios, and then from there,
Mangy
Chad
drop-off.
Kilger,
Yes.
a 32-year-old Eddie Olczyk, a 33-year-old Bob Probert, a 32-year-old Dave Manson, J.P. Dumont before he really became a decent player, Ethan Moreau, a 31-year-old Nelson Emerson. It was just, beside those top 4 or 5 guys, not much there.
Yeah.
So,
J.P.
guys-
Dumont acquired for Doug Gilmour.
yeah, well, yeah. Wait a
So
minute.
there must have been like half this. That was
A portion of the season.
Doug Gilmour was gone
No,
after the
Gilmour
trade
was-
on. I thought it was Gilmour for Dumont. We got Dumont for Doug Gilmour.
To the internet.
If only there was a way we could figure this out.
Yeah, wait, but no, wait.
Hold on.
Who was Michael Grosek for? Was that Dumont? Or no, that's who they traded Gilmour to Buffalo for. Was Michael Grosek. Gilmour was a free agent.
Gilmour traded to Sabres.
He was traded with Doug Gilmour for Michael Grosek.
Oh,
It was
my
Dumont
God.
and Gilmour for Grosek. I knew there was a
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah,
there
yeah,
between the
okay,
two.
yeah, because
Wow,
Gilmour
what
was a free
god-awful
agent.
piece of crap trade that was.
Oh my god! Because Dumont turned out being decent. Like he went on to have a pretty decent career. Not like he was lighting the league up by any means,
and then he was a longtime Predator. He was with the Predators for the last 5 years of his career.
So his years in Buffalo after the trade, first year at age 22, 51 points, 44 points, 35 points, 53 points.
After leaving the Blackhawks, he scored at least 20 goals in 6 out of 7 years.
And he had a 72-point season with Nashville in 07-08.
But that doesn't count.
Yeah, because screw them.
Because he was on the Predators. Doesn't count.
Not bad, though.
All right,
Should we
number 8.
Take a live look across the street.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There it is. There's our guy.
There's the setup.
I hope we're not. What do they call that? Are we doxing? Are we doxing
him?
shirtless?
Nah,
black
that's
guy?
just.
I mean,
you
he's
know.
asking to be doxxed.
No, we're not. That's
We're not putting his address on the screen.
Right.
No, it's
That
just,
is
you know.
just a
It's
brick
just a-
building.
That's a patio that you could see anywhere in the city.
There's 3 million of those patios in Chicago. It just happens to be one of them.
There's probably, 100. You just look out her door.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. All right, next up on the list, number 8, Marian Hossa. The cloning is going well. The water bottle that Lawrence kept, we use it. There's a back-to-tank setup over here, like in Star Wars, and there's a little baby Marian Hossa growing in there. So in 18 years, should be ready to go.
Should be ready to go, yeah.
We need to speed up that process so we can play with Connor Bedard.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what do we need to say about Marian Hossa that hasn't been said a million times? Just if you were to build and design a hockey robot and make kind of the perfect hockey player, it's Marian Hossa. I mean,
yeah.
both ends of the ice, strong, could score, could pass, could defend, could hit. He was a complete hockey player. And the only reason he's so low on this list is because there are so many great Blackhawks forwards.
And we're for this list, we're taking into consideration their time with the Blackhawks.
Yeah,
not
if it was
full
just
career.
Hossa would be, I think,
I mean,
higher.
it just goes to show how many great forwards played for the Blackhawks that Hossa, who won 3 Stanley Cups with this team, is 8th.
Yeah.
But he's not even the top-rated guy from those teams.
No?
So it shows you that we've been blessed with some amazing, amazing players over not only the whole long, almost 100-year franchise history, but just in the past 20 years, it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, for Hossa, it's just like I would think he might be a little bit higher on the list if he could have played, even at his age, if he was able to still play those final few seasons that he had on his contract with the Blackhawks, because I don't doubt that he still could have been pretty darn effective. The final season he played, he scored 27 goals at 37, 38 years old. And you see the physical shape he kept himself in over the years. Like, I have no doubts he could have played out the rest of those, I think, 4 years
And
remaining.
maybe kept going.
Maybe.
Take away the skin problems, we could be talking about, you know, a Jaromir Jagr type player. Look at him; he's still in amazing shape.
Yeah.
He could still be playing if it wasn't for that, and playing at a pretty high level.
Yeah.
Still, my favorite thing about Marian Hossa, as you see on the screen, you can still get our legendary 81 shirt. It's
$24.
It's
$24
Is on sale.
It's on sale for $24. Get your legendary 81 shirt. Just happens to be the same number that the guy we're talking about wore.
Weird.
The best thing about Marian Hossa is always impressed me is his humility. Maybe one of the most humble superstars ever.
Yeah.
Like, never wanted to take credit for anything. Always wanted to put that spotlight on his teammates, and just an incredible guy.
Well, your point that he could still play, I mean, the concept that somehow the Hawks were better off without Marian Hossa and it was some kind of cap circumvention is idiotic.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he was not scoring at the same pace he did early in his time in Chicago, but he was still one of their most effective players at all ends of the ice. And, yeah, if not for the skin condition, he still could be playing. It'd be in a bottom 6 role, in a checking role, but he strikes me as the kind of guy who would be like, I'll do that.
He has the game to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would have done that. He would have gladly taken on a more of a role player type role. Another memory for Hossa that sticks out to me, first time I ever had press credentials for any hockey event was the 2013 Stanley Cup final. And I remember going to media day at the United Center the day before Game 1. They had a little podium set up in the concourse at the United Center, and they brought out both teams. I remember standing there in the scrum for Marian Hossa and just looking at his hands. He had the biggest hands I'd ever seen in my life. They look like bear claws, and not the pastries, but like actual bear claws. I was like, no wonder nobody could get the puck away from him, because he's holding on to it with these just giant, incredible Hulk hands.
Yeah.
Like that, I just stood there for like a minute just going, my God, look at the size of those hands.
Yeah, he's just a supreme athlete. And just having him in here and being, like, I don't know, like you see these guys on TV and they seem larger than life, and then you see him in person, like, oh, that's, all right, they're a little smaller than I expected. Hossa was just, again, just in perfect shape, looked like he could still play, huge, not hulking like bulky, but just imposing.
Yeah.
And when you see him compared to other hockey players, you really see why he had, the ease to his game. And one of my favorite moments with him was this game against Detroit, where he had the puck, and then Datsuk took it away from him, and then he's like, F this, and went back and took it away from Datsuk. And those two, if you read his book, which I recommend to everybody, it's terrific, he talks about how when he was in Detroit, him and Datsuk would have like puck takeaway battles with each other all the time. Like at the end of practice, they would spend time working together to take the puck away from each other, and Datsuk was always kind of the king at that. And then Hossa obviously kind of closed that gap. I still think Datsuk's the king when it comes to that particular thing, but Hossa was right there, man. He's an incredible player. We did just get a little bit of breaking news. The Blackhawks national television schedule. And it will not surprise
all
you
82 games.
to know, yes, the Hawks are on national TV 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
13.
8, 13 times. The ESPN schedule is the opening game, October 10th at Pittsburgh, October 19th at Colorado, October 24th at Boston,
Home versus Boston.
Yes, November 16th versus Tampa, December 12th, my birthday, at Edmonton.
Nice.
January 9th versus Edmonton.
Day before my birthday.
There you go.
So the Connor versus Connor games are big-time draws.
Yeah,
on
I like
ESPN.
February 29th versus Colorado, and April 16th at Vegas. The TNT schedule, the second game of the season, October 11th at Boston, January 17th at Buffalo, January 24th at Seattle, February 7th versus Minnesota, and February 21st versus Philly. So there you go. 13 of the 82 games on
They
national
got the
TV.
Blackhawks at Buffalo game. Do they know something we don't know? Will there be a certain
In January?
a certain former Blackhawk from Buffalo in that playing in that game?
You're flirting with $1 there, sir.
Interesting. Hey, you know what?
No,
though?
he's playing for
No,
the
yeah,
Buffalo
it's true,
team.
yeah.
It's not
our
bad
team.
for
It's
even if it doesn't happen. It's not bad foresight on the part of TNT
No,
to be like,
that's
you know what?
smart.
Maybe.
There's a reason Buffalo
Smart.
is on national broadcasts a lot.
Well,
it's a great market.
And
Yeah,
they're good.
It's a small market, but it's a great market.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. Even I remember seeing TV ratings over the last couple of years for the Stanley Cup Finals, and Buffalo was always within like the top 12, top 10, and it's just because it's such a hockey-hungry market.
And they're actually a good team now.
Yeah, now they're
they should be right there challenging for a playoff spot. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. So yeah, 13 national TV games for the Blackhawks. That means there are a nice number of regionally broadcast
Yes.
games this year.
Yes.
Yep.
My math is
How
correct.
many were on ESPN? 7.
8 on ESPN,
Alright.
5 on TNT.
So there's only 8 games this year where we lose Darren Pang because he'll be on the
Only
TNT
8.
games.
Yeah.
likely.
True.
That's true.
That's
Well,
exciting.
That depends.
Or the late game. Maybe
because
they got the late games.
the January 24th at Seattle is a 9 p.m. game. So if he's not on the 9 p.m. broadcast,
Yeah, they might put him on that. Wouldn't that be fun? Eddie Olczyk and Darren Pang calling a Kraken Blackhawks game.
That'd be cool.
yeah, that'd be good.
That would be cool.
Well, that's
All right.
fun. That's good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, back to the list we go.
We're gonna have to breeze through these guys.
We had Sharp at 10, Amante at 9, Hossa at
We
8.
can breeze through this next guy.
That brings us to number 7, Steve Larmer. The floor is yours, Greg
I
Boysen.
mean, we waxed poetically about him during our tough guy segment, but and we've said it many, many times on this show, and we'll say it many times again. How the hell is Steve Larmer not in the Hockey Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
It needs to happen. Blackhawks career, 13 seasons, 891 games in a row.
Yep.
Never missed a game, 406 goals, 923 points, was a plus 181 in his career, never missing a game in an era that was some of the toughest guys in hockey ever played. 1980s hockey was a different breed than what this hockey is. And he came here, played every night, had 5 seasons of over 40 goals, never only scored under 30 twice in his 12 full seasons with the Blackhawks. Those years he had 28 and 29 goals. So 28 goals was the worst of all those seasons. I love Steve Larmer so much. He got me to root for the New York freaking Rangers in 1994. That's how much I love Steve Larmer. Nothing else will be a testament to Steve Larmer that he made me become a Rangers fan for that 94 Cup because I wanted him to win a Stanley Cup so bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much else to say about Larmer. I mean, just the impact he has, the amount of people that pound the table that says he should be in the Hall of Fame, he should have his number retired. I mean, it's a testament to the kind of player he was.
It's almost like if you had to choose what he's more deserving of, Hall of Fame or number retirement, the answer is probably Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he deserves
because he's he did so much. Like, how in the world is he not?
And it's not like he's a bad guy.
No, that's so weird.
He's a good guy. There's no he doesn't have any grudges against people. I know sometimes Hall of Fame voting committees could be fickle if a guy was a jerk to reporters or stuff, but there's nothing out there about Steve Larmer. Steve Larmer likes a lot of our show account tweets. If that's really his Twitter account, I believe it is.
I believe it is, yeah.
Every once in a while, anytime we tweet about any of those 80s or 90s Blackhawks, for a birthday, he's one of the first people to like it. So, Steve, there's always a chair open for you next time you're in Chicago.
Absolutely,
please.
100%.
I will sit here and stare at you for an hour. And be like,
remember that time?
Remember that time?
We're going to do this for every goal I ever scored? Yes.
There's only 404 more to go, Steve. Hang in there.
All right, next up, number 6 on the list, a man who my sister bummed cigarettes from on 3 separate occasions.
Nice.
Dennis Savard.
That's awesome.
He is the one of the best forwards of all time for the Hawks and probably the best smoker of all time.
I'm sorry. I said that wrong. He bums cigarettes off my sister 3 separate times.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
In the same night or
three separate occasions.
Well, see, once you know, once you know you got a go-to source, you
remember the face. Yeah,
I guess so. Oh yeah, she's got the hookup. Yeah,
that was my amazing thing back in the day when when smoking cigarettes was more socially acceptable and you can actually do it in bars. I was always amazed by smokers never had both cigarettes and lighters at the same time. They always needed one or the other. Hey, do you have an extra cigarette? Or hey, can I use your lighter? Smokers never had both at the same time.
That's how you get the conversation started.
That's true.
You see a cute girl or a
it's a way to meet
fella.
people.
See, I should have started smoking in my 20s. That never dawned on me.
We need more
if
vices.
only.
Well,
it's never too late.
Don't worry, I've taken away quite a few years off the end of my life with other things.
Anyway, Dennis
Savard.
1,196 career games, 1,338 career points. When you look at the breakdown with his Chicago career, combined over 2 stints, 881 games, 377 goals, 719 assists, 1,096 points. The author of the Spinorama.
Mm-hmm.
A guy, again, you talk about the era he played in, which was much more physical, much more violent. Savard was a tiny man.
Yeah. He was 5'10" during an era.
Generous.
Well, on skates.
Yeah.
In an era where if you were under 6'4", you weren't looked at all. I mean, you talk about guys, we talk about Pierre Palat's game could play in today's game. Dennis Savard would be a superstar in today's game because he's got exactly what today's, he was Patrick Kane before Patrick Kane, but he did it when nobody the size of Patrick Kane barely even played in the league, let alone was a superstar. You
can look up his highlights on YouTube, and there's times where he's nutmegging entire teams worth of defenders, whoop through your legs, whoop spinorama, whoop, and just no one can put a finger on the guy.
And for people that say Connor Bedard's too small to play center, Dennis Savard played center smaller than Connor Bedard in the 1980s.
Yeah, he's listed at 5'10", 175.
With all the equipment on, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's a bit generous.
Yeah, it's generous. He is a diminutive figure, but much like with Bedard and a lot of really skilled players, you can't get to them.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you see the most skilled players in hockey, no matter their size, taking a big hit?
Right.
It doesn't happen very often. And Savard was, of his era, not the best player, but maybe the most elusive.
I mean, you watch some of the highlights of some of his, spectacular goals, and he's cutting and weaving through guys that are literally grabbing him, using their sticks to like hook and take him down and stuff. It was a completely different style of hockey, of things that you could get away with, and he still was able to evade and be elusive and get through players and either make the right pass or score a goal. Like it's an incredible skill to have had at that time for hockey. And the only thing I wish that could have gone different for his career is that his lifting the Stanley Cup would have happened in Chicago rather than in Montreal. But
yeah.
there's only so many
And for those that don't remember, when he was traded to Montreal, the return was Chris Chelios.
Chelios, yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about that on tomorrow's list.
Yes.
That was a great trade for both teams.
Yep.
Yeah.
Worked out well.
Probably better for the Blackhawks, but Montreal got a Stanley Cup out of it.
But he did not, and Savard would not play when they won the cup. He hoisted the cup in a suit.
Got hurt, right, in the playoffs? Yeah.
He was injured. Yep. All right, we're going to reveal the top 5 here momentarily. But first, Greg's going to tell you about Ray.
Yeah, not my shady friend Ray, but my friend Ray that has all the cars, all the Chevys. Are you in the market for a new or used vehicle? If you are, then we've got some amazing news for you, because Ray Chevy in Fox Lake has joined the CHGO team. Welcome, Ray, and all your great cars. And we were talking to the team at Ray just the other day, and they have this pledge called the Ray Price Promise. It's a guarantee that the price you see online is the price you will pay when you go into the dealership. We found that in many cases, other dealers will raise the price on you when you come into the dealership, saying things like, are you a recent college grad? Are you active in the military? Are you a farmer? And in most cases, the answer is going to be no. And that's when those other shady dealers will raise the price on you, saying the price online included limited rebates that you don't qualify for. Well, at Ray, they don't play games like that. That's not the case. The price you see online is the price you're going to pay, with no add-ons to that price ever. In fact, Ray's going to do everything possible to find additional savings for you, which will make the price even lower than what you saw online. As one of the top-selling dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories and save big at Ray Chevy, because they now have over 100 Chevy Trax models available starting at $21,495. And now through August 31st, all buyers can qualify for 0% financing. Make 0 payments until 2024, plus no money down. And best of all, pay 0 hidden fees with the Ray Price Promise. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. Serving the community since 1963. Find new roads at Ray Chevy.
And when you find your new road, take that road to Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. It is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. And I've talked about this a lot before, that now that cannabis is legalized in Illinois, there's people that have never been to a dispensary before and don't really know how it works. And the more time that goes by, the more intimidated you may feel, because as other people are getting more educated, you're feeling left behind, and it just kind of snowballs on itself. Sunnyside is the place to go. Whatever you're looking for, whatever experience you're looking for, you want to forget about your worries and disappear to another dimension for a while, they can help you do that. You wanted to sleep through the frickin' night for the first time in forever like I do? They help you with that too. Whatever experience you're looking for, Sunnyside is going to help you. They're going to hold your hand the whole way, figuratively, not literally. Maybe if you ask nicely, they would do it literally.
Gotta have a different promo code for that.
Yeah, right. But don't be intimidated. A place like Sunnyside is going to make you feel at home, feel welcome. You're not going to feel stupid like you don't know what you're talking about. Go in there and improve your life and elevate your summer with Sunnyside. They are Illinois' favorite dispensary for a reason. I'm going to tell you about a couple of my favorite brands. The gummies from Mindy's. Ooh, boy. You want to feel like you just took a warm bath and feel relaxed, ready to, binge some TV, play some video games before you head off to bed. Those Mindy's gummies are absolutely incredible. Created by James Beard award-winning chef Mindy Siegel and Cresco Labs. And the Good News gummies and vapes are wonderful. I love the Frye when I'm about to go out with some friends and I'm feeling that social anxiety. take a couple puffs of that, and I feel good, ready to go. Feel like myself again. And when I need to sleep, those Counting Sheep gummies or the Counting Sheep vape are all I need. Half of one of those gummies or a puff or two off that vape, and I am out. I sleep like a baby. It is a beautiful thing. Lots of great brands, though, so go explore at Sunnyside. And now through October 6th, head to sunnyside.shop and use that code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order. One use per customer. It's not stackable with other promos, but it's not only for new customers. Anyone with their code can save. Pick up everything you need to elevate your summer. Must be 21 plus or an Illinois Med Card holder. Again, that is sunnyside.shop. Promo code CHGO25. All right, recapping the top 5. Number 10, Patrick Sharp. Number 9, Tony Amante. Number 8, Marian Hossa. Number 7, Steve Larmer. Number 6, Dennis Savard. Number 5 on the list, the man that made me love the game of hockey, Jeremy Roenick. We talk about Marian Hossa as having the entire arsenal of hockey tools, right? Defensively, physically, scoring-wise. While Roenick wasn't as strong of a defender as Hossa was, the other stuff, he was like an overpowered Hossa.
Yeah.
A bigger hitter, a more spectacular goal scorer. Unlike Hossa, was not humble. He was brash.
Yeah.
He had charisma.
Boisterous.
They called him the Moth because he loved to find the camera after every game. He spoke his mind. He was a character in a sport that does not encourage characters.
Yeah.
And he was able to back it up on the ice with incredible play. Still among my favorite hockey players of all time. I love Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah, he's a guy that his game, again, would translate to today's game, and his off the ice personality would translate as well. I think as we saw in the past postseason run, Matthew Tkachuk become kind of a star in the league. He reminds me a lot of what Jeremy Roenick could do in his heyday, and yeah, the impact he had on the ice with the Blackhawks was one of the best, if not the best player that they had through the late 80s, early 90s. A key figure in their deep postseason runs, run to the Stanley Cup final in 92. And then culturally too. I mean, you know, the movie Swingers and the video NHL 94 video game series did a lot for the Blackhawks and Jeremy Roenick's popularity culturally too. So that kind of impact is also something that can't be ignored that Roenick had.
Yeah, Jeremy Roenick in the 90s, man, he was... If Michael Jordan wasn't here, you could argue that it was his town.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's-
everybody loved Jeremy Roenick.
And it's incredible because half of his games weren't televised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was that big of a star.
Back-to-back seasons of 107 points in 92, 93, 93, 94. 92, 93, 53, followed by 50 goals. He had 3 straight 100-point seasons, and then the team went 31 years before they had another player with 100 points, and that was Patrick Kane in 2015. So, since Jeremy Roenick, there's only been one guy to have 100 points in Blackhawks uniform.
Soon to be 2.
Soon to be 2 this year, my friend. Mackenzie Ann Whistle's going to blow up. It's going to be amazing.
It's finally his year.
But Roenick, man, just the coolest guy.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to be Jeremy Roenick when I was 13 years old. Like, this guy is just all about. He was a rock star.
That's what
He
we
was
said
a rock
yesterday.
star.
Those 90s Hawks, they were like Motley Crue on ice. They
I
were
mean,
the,
you
they
talk
were the
about
coolest,
guys
the
who are-
baddest,
Who are probably kissing the ground every day that cell phone cameras and Twitter didn't exist.
Oh my God.
I mean, those guys would just dominate the nightlife.
Yes.
They were legends on and off the ice. Just one of the coolest guys. And we'll talk about it more tomorrow again with our Friday with our trades list. I mean, when he was traded, broke my heart. It was the start of the dismantling. And it was the start of the dark ages, not only for the Blackhawks, but my fandom too, because late 90s, early 2000s, yeah, I still would go to an occasional Hawks game. But I found other teams to cheer for. I always joked from 97 until 2007, the Colorado Avalanche were my playoff team. I'd root for the Blackhawks in the regular
Yeah,
season.
because F
but
Detroit.
Right.
Right.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. But it was like I root for the Blackhawks during the regular season, but I know they're not making the playoffs, so I need to have another favorite team for once April rolls around.
Yep.
So yeah, man, Roenick, just an amazing player. It was a shame that he never got to win a Stanley Cup here with the Blackhawks. Never won one, period. But man, winning one here. But even when he left Chicago, I mean, he had 8 years with the Hawks, but he played another 12 years, and
he was on some really good Flyers teams.
yeah, and like he still scored. He still had multiple 30-goal seasons after leaving the Blackhawks. Scored 27 goals at age 33 with the Flyers.
Yeah.
And then, finished up with a season with the Kings, a second stint with the Coyotes. I don't remember that. And then those 2 years with the Sharks. Played till he was 39. And for a guy that played the way he did, that's exceptional.
Probably an oversight on our toughest Hawks list. This is a dude who, in his first game, lost teeth and then stuck his tongue out and they were sitting there on his teeth. I'll never forget when Darian Hatcher broke his jaw.
Yeah.
And Roenick got up and was pulling at his teeth, and you could see his teeth moving.
Yeah.
Ugh.
God, that dude! You want to talk about hockey face? Like if someone came from, Brazil, and said, "Which of these human beings played hockey?" That guy, he's got hockey face more than anybody.
Yeah,
man.
he left a lot of pieces of his body on the old Chicago Stadium floor.
Him and Chelios.
His book is really good too. You should read Jeremy Roenick's book. It's good. There's a great story about he got hit so hard that he pooped his pants once, and the conversation following that with him and Mike Keenan. It's good stuff. I won't spoil it all, but get his book and look for the poop in the pants story. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And we talked about, Chelios and how he didn't want to leave, but he was traded. Roenick, you could tell, did not want to leave Chicago, but ended up being traded, and, a number of years ago was brought back for that one last shift. And you saw how much that meant to him to come back and be, honored with the Blackhawks and get the opportunity to skate again at the UC. And it was great to see him come back and be honored that way. And yeah, it's just the impact that he had.
Yep.
I remember I got to interview Jeremy when that book came out, and I asked him, what would it mean to you to get number 27 retired by the Blackhawks? And he said it would be the biggest thrill of his career. And I don't think he was just blowing smoke either. He loved being a Blackhawk and still loves coming back. People still go crazy for him when he's at the United Center all these years later.
And he's been seen around the UC the last 2 seasons at least, hanging around. Nothing official from the team, but he's hanging around.
I think the team, they probably got to keep their distance a little bit because of some of the stuff that's gone down with him in recent years.
Sure.
I don't know. It's complicated. These dudes are complicated. And speaking of complicated dudes, we move on to number 4. A really wonderful hockey player.
Yes.
Robert Marvin Hull, the Golden Jet.
A great
comes
hockey
in at number
player,
4.
period.
Great hockey player, great shot, super fast, big, strong, physical.
Revolutionary player.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
innovated the game in his time, and again, another guy who could translate his skills of that era to today's game and still be successful. The way that the speed that he had, and physicality that he played with, a scoring ability he had in the 60s to put up 50 goals was unheard of until he did it.
He was the first player to score 50 in back-to-back seasons.
Yeah.
First player in league history to do it and score over 50 goals in a season.
He could be a 40-goal scorer in today's game the way that he played.
Bobby Hull, if he played today, would be Matthew Tkachuk. A faster Matthew Tkachuk.
5'10", 195 was his listed size. What's Tkachuk listed?
Yeah, I mean he was a thick guy back in his
I just mean by
playing
the
day.
style.
No,
Oh,
I
yeah,
agree.
style,
I agree.
yeah.
But I think body type and play style definitely.
Because
But
Hull was a guy that would score a hat trick on you and then pound your face in if he had to.
Right.
He's a
yes.
tough guy.
Well, I mean, one of my favorite pictures of is the picture of Bobby Hull baling hay. And you just see that. That's not what a typical athlete looks like. It's a different kind of strong, right? It's a strong from years of skating, from working on a farm, from manual labor.
Yeah.
It's not weightlifting and cardio and all that. And him and Gordie Howe and Tim Horton, you see all these old players kind of built that way.
Built that way, yeah.
And boy, in terms of a physical specimen for the time he played, like him and Gordie Howe were like just, and yeah, he's only 5'10", but still, just you knew if he made contact with you, you were going to be on the losing end of that most of the time.
And much like Jeremy Roenick, another great player that left Chicago because ownership didn't want to pay him what they were worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
He still had a lot of good years, and then he went to the WHA in Winnipeg and returned for a few games with the Whalers. Imagine that 79-80 Whalers team had Bobby Hull and Gordie Howe on the roster. Yeah. Gordie Howe played all 82 games at 50.
That's insane.
On that team.
Wild.
That's insane. That's a different breed.
Yeah, nuts.
All right. I mean, he was number 11 on the CHGO list today, right? I believe
12.
that's where he came. 12,
Number
okay.
12.
Yes, he came in at 12th. And again, like Sammy Sosa, Bobby Hull on that list was definitely punished for the off-ice stuff that is numerous and gross. And if you want to learn about it, it's very easy to find. We're not going to talk about it here because we don't want to upset anybody. All right, number 3 is the captain. He'll always be known in my mind as the captain, Jonathan Taves. At a time, was arguably the best all-around player in the game of hockey, and I think people lose sight of that.
Yep.
We've talked about it a lot recently, but there was a poll probably around 2013, 2014 from NHL GMs. Who would you start with your franchise with, Jonathan Taves or Sidney Crosby? And Taves won that vote. He was that good. He was that effective. Obviously, the health issues and the later performance things sort of hurt his reputation a little bit, but there was a time where he was 1 or 2 among all players in the National Hockey League.
Yeah. He was supposed to be the captain of Team Canada at the 2014 Olympics, but went to Sidney Crosby and had a conversation about it and said, like, I think you should be in this role. So, I mean, you talk about that kind of honor to be bestowed upon you, that, you know, then he, said, nah, I think this should go to Crosby. Like that says something. And I think Taves' impact with the Blackhawks, his impact with Chicago, his impact in the hockey community. I mean, you talk about a guy not only on the ice but off the ice, that, has a mind for interests outside of the game and helping people outside of the game. That's definitely something that he took initiative with in Chicago with his initiatives with young people and teaching them about healthy eating, proper eating, things like that, and always being in the Chicago hockey community and helping with kids and things. That was a big boost for him off the ice. On the ice, one of the best players to ever play for the team. Longest serving captain, youngest captain, most successful, 3 Stanley Cups, a Conn Smythe, a Selke, multiple All-Star games, 2 Olympic gold medals, World Cup of Hockey championship as well, if you want to count that too.
He's got nothing left to prove.
No, he's going to take a year off and reevaluate. We'll see what happens, but if his entire playing career happens to only be in Chicago, I think that would be more than fitting.
And we have a captain shirt at CHGO
We sure do.
too. That's on sale for $24.
Sure do.
Get the legendary, get the captain shirt, and as you mentioned, youngest captain, longest serving captain, most successful captain. Be interesting to see if a certain young man gives those records a run for his money.
He would be younger
if he gets named captain
by this time next year.
Yeah. So he could break that first record.
Yeah.
The other 2 would be a little harder to do.
But yeah, so
it'd be fun to watch.
Yeah.
For those of you who need a reminder of how good Jonathan Taves was during the peak of his career, go on YouTube, type in 2015 Western Conference Final Game 7.
Oh, yeah.
And watch him single-handedly tell the Anaheim Ducks, your season is over.
Goodbye.
He ended that game within the first 4 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
Said, screw you. I'm winning this game. We're going on to the Cup final. Bye-bye.
But, Greg, no human can possibly withstand that sort of physicality.
Well, he was wrong.
He was wrong. And a penis.
Yes.
All right, next up on the list. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I'm sure there are people wondering where we're going to go with number 2 and number 1.
Yeah.
Now, you are the gatekeeper of the votes. This was not a unanimous outcome?
It was not a unanimous outcome.
Okay.
One guy got 2 votes for number 1. Another guy got 1 vote for number 1.
Real quick, there is a poll on our YouTube, and currently I asked which one of these players is the best Blackhawks forward of all time, and I just put our top 4 as options. Right now, Stan Mikita and Patrick Kane are tied at 40% each.
All right.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, we did a good job.
I think we did a good job. I will admit, I was not the unanimous voter. And thinking about it a little bit harder, I don't know if I did this in haste or if I was just tired or whatnot.
Wait, I'm going to pause you. Do not apologize for your vote.
I'm not apologizing. I'm just saying
your vote is valid.
I would probably, after taking some time to consider, would re-vote differently. But either way, I think this final list gets it right anyways.
All right. Number 2 on the list, Patrick Kane. I mean, a great for his entire career here in Chicago. Seemed to get better and better and better and better as his career went on until that hip started to slow him down a little bit. But you could argue that Patrick Kane, well, you can't argue. If you look at the paper, it's true. His best years came after the Stanley Cups.
Well,
when he became a more complete, he was never a Marian Hossa type. It's not
he's never going to play defense for you.
But the way he was able to think and see the game, almost like Neo in The Matrix. That was a movie from the 90s, Mario, The Matrix. You'd check it out. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, it came out in 1998 with Keanu Reeves, and I saw all 3 of them.
Before he played John Wick.
But Kane, in the Matrix style, could sort of slow things down, see things before they were happening. And that's always what Wayne Gretzky said would separated him from everybody else, was he just knew where the puck was going to go. Yep. He just had this instinct to think ahead, to be 2-3 steps ahead. Patrick Kane had that too. There is absolutely an argument for him as the greatest Blackhawk of all time. I'm going to be honest with you. Had he finished his career in Chicago, he might have gotten my vote.
Probably would be.
But seeing him in another uniform, maybe it's recency, maybe it hurts a little more than I expected it to. Because of that, I gave the nod. Everyone knows who number 1 is, to Stan Mikita. Because of the longevity, because of him being a Hawk for life. That's what edged out Patrick Kane for me. But again, much like we had with Belfour and Corey Crawford at 2 and 3, coin flip.
Yeah.
Right, or 3 and 4 rather.
Yeah.
It's a coin flip on that argument. I could see it either way. But look, 3 Stanley Cups speak for themselves. Conn Smythe, MVP. He had all the personal achievements. He had all the team success. The argument is certainly there. But for me personally, seeing him in a Rangers uniform, it was tough. And maybe if we did this again in 2 years, 3 years, I might change my vote. But for now, I still think Stan Mikita is the icon of the Blackhawks franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We'll get it. We can break down the comparisons here in a minute. But, Patrick Kane had the more, team success than Stan Mikita. Stan Mikita had just the 1 Stanley Cup, was denied 2 other shots at it, having to play against those juggernaut 1971, those 70s Canadian teams were some of the greatest teams ever, with Scotty Bowman in his prime behind the bench. Lost twice to those teams in the Stanley Cup final. So, including once in a heartbreaking game in Game 7 where they had the lead going into the third period on home ice. Oof. You win one of those 2 series or both of those series, and he's got 3 cups. And I think the debate is even less of a debate.
Yeah.
But Patrick Kane, the 3 Stanley Cups, the Calder, the Conn Smythe, all that stuff, we all know what he did. But, as great as Patrick Kane was, his numbers are still pretty far off of Stan Mikita, who played more time here. But
right,
still.
Which is, I think, the same kind of thought process I would have, is that had he only played for the Blackhawks throughout his career, he would have probably matched or surpassed those numbers.
Probably. He would have came very, very close if if he had this hip surgery and came back to what we're used to and played another 3 years, he probably would have.
And to be the meatball of the day, and to young Dangle God's $1.
Thank you.
The possibility of him playing 3-4 years on a refurbished hip with Connor Bedard, that's the kind of player that you match with Patrick Kane, and it becomes instant magic. So to entertain and tickle that thought would be pretty amazing, but I will say I think it is okay that we and the Blackhawks have moved on from it.
All right, here's Patrick Kane's individual accomplishments. 3 Stanley Cups, the 07-08 Calder, the 07-08 All-Rookie Team, 4-time All-Star, 2012-13 Conn Smythe, 2016 Art Ross, 2016 Hart, 2016 Pearson, a member of the NHL 100th Anniversary Team. The number one man on our list, Stan Mikita, is a Hall of Famer, a 1-time Cup winner, a 4-time Art Ross Trophy winner, 2-time Lady Byng, 2-time Hart, 8-time NHL All-Star, also a member of the NHL's 100th Anniversary Team. He is the Blackhawks all-time leading scorer. He is the Blackhawks all-time leader in games played. Stan Mikita is Mr. Blackhawk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And went from his playing career until the day he died way too young as a pillar of a human being as well. Beloved by everybody. A good human being that treated everyone from Gordie Howe and Bobby Hull to the guy who filled the toilet paper rolls in the bathroom at the Chicago Stadium with class and with dignity and everything. And anyone who's had the pleasure of meeting Stan Mikita, as I have, he's just an ordinary guy who just happened to be great at hockey. And I think as you go organization to organization, talk about Mount Rushmores, or you think about like who is Mr. Whoever, the Blackhawks could not have a better person at the top of their organization than Stan Mikita.
Yep. Mikita, we do the all-time leader in games played, not even close, over 200 more than Duncan Keith played. I mean, he played for 22 seasons. Second in goals, only to Bobby Hull. Had 97 more or 95 more than Patrick Kane. I can't do math. All-time leader in assists, over 150 more than Patrick Kane, almost. And then all-time career leader in points, still 242 points more than Patrick Kane did. Now, granted, a lot more time here.
Yeah.
Over 200 more games. So it would have been interesting to see. But Stan Mikita, we mentioned, everybody called him Stosh, like he was your buddy.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to meet him a handful of times before he passed away at different events. Loved coming to Hawks games. And, when he had his book, he would sit out in the concourse and sign for everybody. If you were in line, you would give him an autograph. Would show up to events, would just show up to the game and just would walk the concourse, and people would go, "Oh my God, that's Stan Mikita." Would shake everybody's hand, talk to everybody. Some of the other things he did, though, I mean, he went from being one of the most penalized players to winning the Lady Byng, changed the way he played.
Like overnight.
Yeah, and you've told the story why. You can share that. You had that in your book.
Yeah, his daughter asked him after a game, like, why do you spend so much time like not sitting with your friends? Why are you always sitting by yourself? And he kind of realized, yeah, you know what? I don't need to play like a jackass to be an effective player. And you look at his penalty minutes, his first full season, 119, 94, 97, 69, nice, 146, 154, down to 58. To 12, to 14, like, like it really did happen
changed.
very quickly for Stan Mikita.
It did, and then, he was one of the first star players to wear a helmet full time.
Yep.
And
Curve his stick.
A lucky little accident in practice where he got the skate blade stuck in the boards, and it broke. He took a shot with it, and he went, oh.
Uh-oh.
And then he and Bobby Hull joined the revolution. He was the first guy to curve his stick blade, and that's the biggest reason goalies started to wear masks.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden,
those pucks started
Stan
to
Mikita
rise.
and Bobby Hull could get the puck up at your head at 99 miles an hour, and it was more of life-saving measurements than anything else. But Stan Mikita revolutionized the sport by an accident, and he took that first shot with that broken blade and was like, I'm going to do this all the time, because that helped him win all those Art Ross trophies too. Very revolutionary, and a guy that literally changed the game of hockey.
Absolutely. And again, a great guy. I'm friends with his daughter on Facebook, and it's very cool to see, she's obviously loves her father very much and is always sharing like family photos of Stan, and like you just see this guy as a grandfather and as an uncle and as a dad and a husband. It's very cool. And she reached out to me after I wrote the book and said, hey, my dad's name popped up on a Google alert, and I saw, I think the Triumph Books might have put an excerpt out from the Mikita chapter promotionally. So I just want to thank you for the nice stuff you wrote about my dad. I'm like, you're welcome. Like, what else am I going to say? You know, he's a great guy. Another favorite story of mine, a couple years ago, it's maybe 10, 15 years ago, my wife and I went to the Buffalo Wild Wings on, I don't know if it's Darien or like right in that area there, like right off Route 83 and 55. And we walk in and, you know, like the little bench by the waiting area, Stan Mikita's just sitting there. I was like, is that Stan Mikita? I like looked at Hope like, is Stan Mikita waiting for a table at B-Dubs?
Waiting for his to-go order.
Do these people not know who that is? And he's just like, and he was just sitting there like just happy to wait for his wings.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's cool.
That's great.
Yeah, I think, you know, all Hawks fans should be proud to have this guy at the top of the organization.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Absolutely.
It was a pleasure to get to meet him. I wish I'd seen him play. It's one of my only regrets. So, all right, that's it for our list of the top 10 forwards of all time. Recapping, number 10, Patrick Sharp. Number 9, Tony Amante. Number 8, Marian Hossa. Number 7, Steve Larmer. Number 6, Dennis Savard. Number 5, Jeremy Roenick. Number 4, Bobby Hull. Number 3, Jonathan Taves. Number 2, Patrick Kane. Number 1, Stan Mikita. That is a solid list, my friends.
Solid list.
It's a good 3 lines right there.
Yeah, for sure.
And Tony Amante.
Yeah.
And what's our list tomorrow, Greg? Remind me.
We are doing top 10 playoff games.
Oh, that'll be fun.
In Blackhawks history. That's going to be a fun show, yes. And then
Cannot
Friday
wait.
will be the 10 most memorable trades in Blackhawks history. Playoff games and trades. 2 of my favorite things in the world.
Should be fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know what my favorite thing in the world is?
Beer?
One of
I have a
the
good
favorite
idea
things in the world.
what it is.
It's Goose Island Beer, and they are the proud beer sponsor of us here at CHGO. They have been Chicago's beer since 1988, and they have a deep and illustrious, delicious roster of beers from their Goose IPA, a 6-time medal winner at the Great American Beer Fest, to their Tropical Beer Hug, a dry-hopped Imperial IPA that is a 9.9 ABV that is dangerously easy to drink. You got the Full Pocket Pills, the everyday beer, what the Goose Island beer brewers are drinking. And, of course, you got the 312, the staple of Goose Island's all-year roster. You can grab all of these beers and more with ultra-fresh, brewery-exclusive brews at the Goose Island Original Brewhouse on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or you can go to their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Again, that is the Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer.
And you can pick up some Goose Island. Thank you. From our friends at Circle K, we're excited to partner with them. Check out your local Circle K for the best coffee, beer, and snack selection and premium gas. Look out for freebies and giveaways down the road. Let me ask you guys. I was at a Circle K the other day, and I'd never seen these before.
Ooh.
Little Debbie peanut butter cream pies.
Ooh.
Interesting.
So
like the oatmeal one, but
with peanut butter. Let's do your favorite Little Debbie snack.
Jeez.
I'm more of a Hostess guy myself, but I would say I think those
Let me
oatmeal
pull up the Little
ones
Debbie
are probably
roster
my
here.
favorite.
Okay.
I don't know it offhand.
I'm a Swiss cake rolls guy myself.
Sure.
Those are my
To
go-to.
me, that's the ho-ho.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I find the Swiss cake roll superior to the ho-ho.
Huh. Interesting.
It's a little bit of a softer chocolate,
Okay.
whereas the ho-ho, you can peel the chocolate and kind of eat it
I
separately.
always liked that.
No, that's good too.
Little crunch or whatever.
Oh yeah. Look, I'm not gonna poo-poo ho-hos.
I'm a ding dong.
Till after I
myself.
eat 'em.
Ding dong guy. Love the ding dongs.
You guys are really looking up Little
I
Debbie's.
know they're like.
This is
I
shameful.
don't know.
No,
I know it off the hand.
Oh, you got one?
My favorite Little Debbie?
Yeah.
It's the oatmeal cream pies.
Fair enough. How about the double?
Or,
You ever
or
had the double?
Or the peanut wafer crunch bar
Oh,
thingies.
Nutty Bars?
Nutty bars. Those are.
Have you ever had the double oatmeal cream pie? It's like an oatmeal cream pie, but 2.
That's a very good name
Sure.
for it then.
Yeah, right.
It's
It's
usually-
just more.
It's usually a separate category.
All right.
I'll go with the donut sticks.
Oh, those are good.
It's
A classic.
A classic glazed donut stick.
There's very few things with the Little Debbie logo on it that's not good.
Yeah, Star Crunch.
very true.
Delicious. Lots of good stuff. Well, get some at Circle K. Thanks to Circle K for sponsoring CHGO. Visit the nearest Circle K to pick up all your favorite finds, including amazing Little Debbie products and Goose Island beer. All right, we're going to wrap things up. We are back tomorrow, 2 o'clock, you guess it, and stay tuned to see what Shirtless Dart Guy has for us on his balcony tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. On your way out, smash that like button for us. Let's get in that habit. Do it, do it, do it. Make sure you like the page as well. We'll talk to you Thursday at 2 p.m. on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.